time of the week again. Sit back, relax, we got the brain of band. No need to stress in the house, it's Van Bellen. The game is windsurfing, you can't yell them or tell them. We get the news, the views, the win biz. The brand's gear tips plus the world's best quiz. Carbs, PWA. We're professionals without the pay. There's nothing in pole dancing that we won't chat. From tandem boards to a windsurfing cat. It's your one-stop shop for a laugh and listen. Tune in each week or you'll be doing the missing.
Benny, how are you, mate?
More drama. Back for more drama.
Windsurfing, it's just all about drama at the moment, isn't it? Week after week, month after month, something going on.
Bombs are dropping, drama's going off. And if you are tuning into this podcast, welcome to another week. Yes, we're late, but as I've said before, we've been busy boys, you know. And this, if you are tuning in for the first time, is a bit of a chat about situations that are going on in the windsurfing world. Is it planned? Is it big time production going on? No, it is definitely not that. But this week, we have stepped it up a little bit because we are bringing in a special guest, someone who has the inside knowledge, the expertise, the experience, the chat, the smile, the good looks, everything we don't have.
He's Dutch.
Who is it? Who can it be? Bring him in and find out.
Hey, Jordy.
Yeah, we all have the white t-shirts, but I think I'm the only one who has some hair, right?
Yeah, you definitely got more hair than me, mates. I got a bit more face, I reckon. Yes, we've got Jordy Vonk. I would run off a list of achievements. Dutch slalom champion, podium on the PWA. Is he a youth, some sort of champion somewhere? I know, I very much somewhere, somehow. But yes, we are here for another podcast. Yes, we are going to talk about the Ricardo Campello situation, but that is not going to be first on the list. I think we have to talk about Slalom X. Dun, dun, dun. It's pretty dramatic. Yeah. So anyone who isn't, up with current affairs in the windsurfing, basically the PWA have announced they are bringing back they are splitting the disciplines. So if you don't know, if you haven't followed PWA racing, the last couple of years, the foil has been integrated with fin. So it has been like you just chose whether you took a fin or a foil. The results all count the same. And if you've been following the racing, you will know it really did favor the foil. Although there were a few hardcore people who won eliminations. Jordy Vonk is one of them on the fin. You won in Pozo?
Yeah, I did my best to make the fin favorite people proud. But it was, I won one in Pozo and Pierre won one in Fuerte. And I think that was all there was to catch.
Which was crazy. Like I said, for anyone who doesn't follow the racing, that was not what people expected when this whole, combination thing was introduced. What they thought was going to happen was the foils would maybe take the light winds and maybe some medium winds. But as it started turning into high winds, the fin would take over. And then as the years progressed and as the months progressed and days progressed, the foil just got faster and faster to a point, whereas at the end of last year or middle of last year, everyone was like, something has to change. Jordy, what's the inside take on that? What's your...
Yeah, I mean, last year they tried to go back from 3 front wings to 2 front wings, forcing us to have bigger front wings. So we actually, in strong winds, we kind of have to take the fin. That was the whole idea behind it. So the smallest board had to be a fin board and you could only take 2 front wings. And in the meantime, everyone's balls were growing. Everyone was just like, I just find a way to hold on that bigger front wing and make it work. And we made it work, or most of the guys made it work, because even in Japan we had gusts of like 35 knots, and there was no chance you could beat the guys on your fin. There was no chance. To Japan, I didn't even bring the fin gear. I was like, you know what, it's not gonna happen anyway.
Which people might not understand, but for me as a commentator, I think that's actually what made a lot of the foil racing exciting, because people were right on the edge, like
over the edge.
Over the edge, like past the edge. But the thing was, if you could survive, you would probably win, or you would, get through. So it was pushing people to the absolute limit. And if you watch the racing, I know Paul watched the racing probably for the first time sort of last year, and you could see the crashes because everyone in that fleet that was on a foil was on the edge of control. I will come on to that in a minute, because now, obviously, the step has been taken by the PWA, which is the brands and basically the riders, have come together and decided they're going to split the discipline. So for this year, 2024, Finn, normal windsurfing, slalom, will have its own result, own discipline, own, I guess, events, combined with the foil, which will be a separate discipline. So as far as I understand, a separate result. So there will be a foil slalom world champion and a Slalom X that they were calling it, which we're going to come on to why it's called Slalom X in a minute. Is there going to be a combined result between the two?
No.
Okay.
I don't know why not, actually. I think it will be quite interesting and cool.
I agree.
Like it was back in the days, but I think they didn't want to make things too complicated and first make it two separate titles and see how that goes.
Just so we know, Windsurfing.TV will be having that champion. We will,
we will make up,
and we will have the overall slalom champion. I'm just going to nick the results because I think people will want to know. They'll be working it out anyway, and I think it's quite a nice one. So, I think it just seems obvious. So now we come on to why are we calling it Slalom X? Because I've been reading the comments, and it's quite interesting. I thought, when you forget the title, when you read the actual things, to me, it's like slalom on steroids, and most of the things, actually, let's bring up the PDF, I think. So there's a PDF from the PWA, which states exactly the rules. And there's basically elements that you can add into a slalom race. Do you want to get more specific on that, Jordy?
Yeah, there is basically a list at the moment. So far with slalom, it was pretty clear. We did 8-man heats, normal system, 4 buoys. In a crazy day, we had 6 buoys, but that was kind of it. And the rules did not allow us to make kind of exceptions other than the usual racing we were doing. With this format, we're actually allowing ourselves to kind of step things up or do things different and take elements into place to literally, like you say, spice up the slalom on the fin compared to what we had. And a lot of people, I think, had saw the jumps. Like you can see here, 2 of the pictures are jumps. They're like, they are just going to be jumping every reach, and we really look at the Super X. No, it's an option to have a sausage and to do a jump. But it's way more than that. Like, I think there is one page with the list. As you can see here, it's a beach start, beach finish. So you have the obstacle jump, which I think got shown a lot in the pictures just because I think it's quite a spectacular thing and obviously will look awesome. A speed run, just like we did in Fuerte last year. A surf slalom, meaning that all the buoys can be in breaking waves. The chicane is something we did before as well. It's kind of like a super short reach where you have like buoy number 1, we jibe, after 20 meters, another buoy, after 20 meters, another buoy. So instead of the 300 meter reaches, you have like this super short part where you kind of have to pretty technically jibe through. We can go full fleet to do a bit more of a, I think comes basically together with the long distance. Or a half fleet where you still do an elimination system, but it's with like 16, 20 or whatever guys on the starting line, which obviously will look epic because 8 guys going fast looks good. But I think if you hit the starting line with 20, it will be a mess at the starting line, but it will be amazing shots. And it's not that we have to do these things all the time. I mean, we're not going to do a beat start in Pozo. I mean, everyone will have broken ankles by the time we reach the finals, So we will not do something like this there. Or imagine we go to a spot where it's super flat, we most likely will not have an obstacle jump. Like we will look at the conditions we're getting to see what kind of things we're going to apply. And I think I was involved as I'm part of the slalom committee. So they asked us for advice on how we as riders thought it should be looking and in what kind of way we can push it. I kind of came up with the idea like, okay, we make a list and we say we have to do a minimum of 1 from these things. For whatever reason, they changed it to 2. I think 1 can be fine, but they changed it to 2. Okay.
So there has to be 2.
Yeah, there's like, I just read it from the document now. At each event with Slalom X, there will be at least 2 of the selected course options in each race or elimination. Which I actually thought 1 is fine, because if you add an obstacle jump, you can keep the rest the same. You can just add a chicane, especially when, for example, the wind is in Pozo blowing 40, 45 knots. I mean, it's a hell of a lot of a difficult one anyway. But then you can still put the last buoy or the last 2 buoys in those breaking waves. For example, if we would finish, now we were finishing last year going in, but it would be kind of cool to there where the wave was breaking to have the last jibing mark, and then we kind of finish on the way out, so you have that bit within the breaking waves where still a lot can happen.
So let me just clear this, just so I'm clear in my head. Let's say Slalom X happens in Furta. Let's say it's part of the Furta event. They'll have foil slalom and they have the Slalom X running at, whatever day. Can we do a normal slalom race?
We can do 1 complete normal regular slalom race every 4 eliminations. So a quarter of the races can be normal racing. This we cannot see on this page. But for example, to check out the conditions or to start off with a little bit of ease, the first elimination we can be like, okay, 4 boys, normal start, normal finish, nothing crazy. We start off like this.
So 3 of the 4 races, if you do 4, 3 of them have to have 2 elements from that list.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, I didn't actually understand that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the way it's set up.
Okay. Yeah. So now I see what you're saying, because 1 would be, you could still base it around normal slalom. Because my understanding of this was, if it's not in the rules, then you can never do it, which is terrible. So I love the fact that they're actually changing the rules. It's in the rules. I didn't realize it was so like we have to do it. Wow.
Like I don't know. Like this is how they present it, right? So I think they did want to put it in a way where the race director cannot make it himself too easy by like, you know what, today it's tough anyway, so we just go on like this. No, this really triggers him to like, okay, we have to do something because it's within the rules to add something.
Okay.
I mean,
go on, Paul. Got some
questions? No. I was just going to say, how many of the sailors who are doing the regular slalom, foil, fin, whatever, are going to end up doing this? Is it everyone, or is it just a few? Or?
I don't think everyone, but I think quite a couple. I'm sure Pierre Mortefon will do this. I'm sure Matteo will do this. I will do it 100%. Maciek will do it. Bruno Martini will do it. I'm sure. I saw yesterday a post from Tristan Algre, who was not competing anymore, and he's like, "Oh, this looks awesome! I will come back and I will do these events." Okay. So I think there will be definitely people doing it.
And what about, do you think it'll bring people who wouldn't have normally gone to the regular slalom back into it? Could you see that happening? Or
I hope so. I mean, Tristan, for example, I think is one from what I've seen by him sharing the story. Like, okay, I'll be back for this. Looks like it's one of the guys who will come back to compete. Maybe Ben van der Steen. I didn't spoke with him. He's working as the crew now as well. So I don't know if he's like getting triggered by this. Like, you know what? Maybe I do those fin events and then I'll be crew when it's foil. It's hard to say, but I'm sure if you are a fin lover, and you want to compete on the highest level, but you're not, because you would have to fight against foils, which is kind of like last year, which kind of made up front that you would have no chance. Of course, this is now becoming a platform where you can compete, and you are just competing against Finns. So
is this the same for the women, Luigi?
I'm pretty sure things can be adjusted for the women in a way of, I think an obstacle jump is going to be kind of tough for the women. So they can take that one out, or, I think it will be adjusted towards what the girls can do.
Okay.
I wouldn't have thought an obstacle jump would be hard for women, would it? I mean, it's just like a chop hop over some inflatable thing, or what is that exactly? An obstacle jump?
Yeah, there's some pictures of the sausage, which I think at the moment is in Fuerteventura. I'm trying to get hold of it, because I'm going to try to Tenerife, so we can use it in the training here, so we can already give you guys some content. Yeah.
From my experience in Supercross and jumping over obstacles, what you realize is that obstacle really doesn't need to be big. And I'm talking, it could literally be a pool noodle size, but you imagine having that 10 meters before the finish line, when you're flat out in a drag race, when you're neck and neck, and you've got to kind of exactly, and you're like, do I slow down to load for the jump, or do I just speed hop it? And it's like, even if it's tiny, it adds that element of, jeopardy almost. Like, so I think what I would imagine, if they do put an obstacle, it really doesn't need to be anything of any size, because if it's anything like the Supercross stuff, that would be carnage, because they're not big, but they are easy to get wrong, really easy to get wrong. And with the slalom fin, oh God.
But that's also a thing. If during the first races we are slicing the obstacle into pieces, we still have other options to do, right? So,
but like I said, even if it's literally just a poo noodle, like, I'm not a poo noodle. I'm pretty sure that would not. That would be a pretty terrible obstacle.
You're gonna hang a poo on the course? We've got it as an obstacle.
I mean, there are some places.
You would not be the world's first at that.
I mean, oh, sugar. Okay. No, don't forget the food.
Oh God, Betty, can't take you anywhere, mate. Can we?
So my next question is, are there any organizers that are actually interested in this? Because obviously this is just it's a new discipline effectively. So does a slalom, does someone like Lake Garda, they have to choose this discipline, I'm guessing?
Yes. I mean, in the end, it's on the organizers.
Yes.
The PWA is going to an organizer, and they show like, this is something we can provide. And we can provide a freestyle, wave, slalom, and Slalom X now. So the portfolio got a little bigger, and it's basically on the organizer to say like, you know what, we have pretty strong wins. We rather see the fin action here. We will go for the option to take the Slalom X.
And do you know if there's been much interest in it?
It's tough, even from the slalom committee. To be honest, I did not hear too many, how should we say, rumors about everything yet. I see some questions coming up here already, like, fun that this came out, but where the hell is the calendar? I mean, obviously, we first had to come out with this, because if people see the slalom calendar and they see Slalom X on it, they're like, what the hell is this? So they rather got this one out first before the calendar. On the other hand, I think if it's on me, they should post it now in the next hour because it is February. I think the wave is kicking off in Japan in 2 weeks or something.
A couple of weeks.
Yeah. So I mean, I literally don't know why it's not out yet. In the end, it's always provisional anyway, so you can still tweak or tune or add or delete events anyway. So why it's not out yet, I have no clue. I do expect it to be out pretty soon, especially with the wave kicking off. But from what rumors go that Gran Canaria and Fuerte would be interested to do this. I saw that Fuerte posted the dates of the event happening basically like always later on in July until I think the 3rd or 4th of August.
Okay.
And they said like disciplines and la are still to be announced later. Because I don't know, for example, if they go for the Slalom X, if they go for the normal slalom, so for the foil, are they going to do both? You know, it can be that we race 4 days on the Slalom X and then the next 4 days on the foil. This is an option as well.
Is there a minimum amount of days for an event? Could someone, let's say, possibly do a 2-day event?
I have no clue. I mean, it must obviously be a very. You need to be very sure about the wind at your place to now at early days plan 2 days to have guaranteed action. Because even on locations where they tell us it's windy every single day, we come and we are sometimes waiting. So it's risky, but I don't know if the rules are having a minimum amount of days for an event. I don't know.
For someone who's on the outside, Ben's obviously commentates the event, so he probably knows. But what's the sailors that are out there on the foils? How many of them would actually prefer to be on fins, but obviously just using foils because they have to? Because if you don't, you don't stand a chance. I mean, because obviously in the last few years this foil thing has come up. You know, can you give us a sense of that? Or?
It's tough. I mean, I think it's been quite clear that I've been one of the guys who people kind of know that I still love the fin and I love to race on the fin and still push that as much as possible. But it doesn't mean that now I see this and I'm giving up on the foil to fully focus on this. You know, like I especially personally feel like I have some unfinished business and I can do a lot better than what I've showed. So my motivation is still high to do well on the foil beside this. But I'm also very looking forward to have a platform again, or at least let's say two with IFCA World Championship 3 competitions where you can show yourself on the fin again instead of trying to go for little glories within all the foils. So I think from a rider's perspective, they are happy to see this.
Okay, so if we play a game, fin or foil, I name a rider and you have to say, if you were to guess which way, if they had to do one or they had to do the other tour. There's a fin tour, there's a foil tour, and you had to choose one. The money's the same, everything's the same, had to go. Amado Vrieswijk.
I think foil.
Ooh.
Matteo Iachino.
Fin.
Daniel Benedetti.
Foil.
Yeah. Maciek Rakowski. Ooh.
Yeah, this is quite a tricky one. Tricky.
Ooh.
I think 2 years ago maybe Finn. Now I do know he thinks it's a bit of a hassle to do it both. Tough. Maybe because it with the obstacles and stuff, which he is obviously a big fan of. Maybe Finn, but I mean, some I called easier, but I could still be completely wrong. I mean, it's just
That's just your opinion. It's quite nice to hear it. Bruno Martini.
Finn.
Marianne Mortafon.
I think also Finn.
Michelle Becker.
Foil.
So it's kind of 50-50.
Sarah Keita. Cedric Board.
Finn. Maybe.
Nico Preen.
Nico.
Foil. I think foil.
Pierre Mortafon.
It's also a tough one. You know, I'm sure he loves it that it's separate again, and that because I mean he's incredibly fast on the fin, but he's also incredibly fast on the foil. So, so I maybe his heart is a little bit more with the fin, But again,
Jordy
for
Vonk?
every then Finn.
Oh, Jordy.
It's an interesting mix, isn't it? It's not like
Yeah.
it's not.
And-
I mean,
and
obviously, that's your opinion. We're not asked them. You know, I'm sure if we said Justine Lemaitre, it's like this is also difficult. She's really good on the foil, but she's also
Yeah, and it's like it depends on so many things. Like I think it's no doubt that the foil is kind of the future for racing. So it's also not that you go like, okay, I choose Finn, and then in 3 years it's completely done or whatever, and then you kind of miss the whole foil train, right? Like my
No, but
favorite-
that question wasn't based on where we think it's going. It was based on the same tours, same money. Nothing's going to change. It's just which way you would want to go if you could. Not where the money's going, not where the trend's going, just in terms of feel and what you think more. I mean, obviously, you know, opinions change. That's normal. New information comes up, new feelings come up. Definitely.
Sure. No, but I mean, you know, I when it's 10 to 20 knots, I mean, foil racing is epic, but I think I would get a little more excited going to places where it's 30, 35 knots and we're blasting in crazy conditions and you have to do some stuff, you know, like yeah, in my opinion, yeah, they will forever win. But I would not like to go back on the 8-4 big board and park at the first buoy and pump 20 times to keep going again. You know, like that's not the way I see it. And also it's another question I saw coming in, and I think we can straight go into this, because the gear that we're going to use is 2 boards and 3 sails. And I don't know, it doesn't say anywhere, but I'm pretty sure the maximum sail size is like 8 meter. And just to compare it with the gear that I will registrate, most likely is going to be 7/8, 6/8, 5/8 with a 99 and a 116 meter board. So it's basically medium gear and small gear. That's kind of what we're looking at, what we're going to use in this discipline.
But can we just clarify something, Jordy? Sorry if this is obvious and I'm a bit stupid, but so is this just for the Slalom X, or is this for both disciplines combined? No. Okay.
No. That's why this is mentioned separately for the Slalom X, just for this discipline. So if you only do this discipline, you would need 2 boards and 3 sails, which is a small slalom board and a medium slalom board, and then duotone has like a 7/8, 6/8, 5/8 in the range, which fits perfectly into this. I think.
And what boards? When you say small slalom board, there'll be people listening to this who probably don't know what that roughly means. I know everyone's different because it depends how big you are, but give us a slight idea.
Like a 60, 63 wide and 99 liter board. And at the moment, I'm close to like round about 100 kilo. So that's what I'm looking at to use. If you are a little bit lighter, I guess, you know, like I use 63 wide and 71.5 wide. Maybe if you're lighter, you can look at a 60 and a 69 wide or 70 wide or something like that.
And what sort of volumes are them for people who maybe don't even race?
90 liter, 88, 90 liter, and then a 110, something like this.
Yeah. Okay.
So that basically means if someone, like say yourself, you know, you enter an event, there's a Super X event and there's a slalom event. I mean, you're taking 3 sails, 2 boards for this, and then how much gear for the foil? You know, what's that? Another 3?
One board.
Okay, 1.
5 sails.
Yeah.
3 front wings.
Okay, so it does start to become. I mean, how many sailors do you think will end up doing both, just because of the amount of equipment that you need to bring? I mean, it's going to be
a lot. It's a lot. I mean, the amount of equipment we have to bring. Like, I think this is just thinking. I think Silt will be just foil, so you just have to bring your foil equipment. I think Japan will be just foil. I think they're also working on New Caledonia to make it happen again. I'm pretty sure they will also not do both. I think they will just go to foil again, I think. So there, to those venues, you just have to bring the foil equipment. I think most likely the Canaries, we're looking at like, okay, is there budget to do both? That's another thing, of course. If there is, yeah, we're gonna end up traveling with some bags because it's a lot of equipment.
And there's a question here. Oh, sorry, Ben, you go, mate.
No, it's all right.
Oh, there's a question here from Matt Hansen. He's saying, Jordy, how do you think it'll change the Finn slalom gear? When will you start your R&D? Is there any gear ideas you're thinking of trying that you can share?
Yes, I mean, obviously we knew this was coming already. This is not something we thought about 2 weeks ago and we launched it 2 days ago. No, there has been some thinking going into this. And you need to imagine, I did not want to change anything. I mean, in the end, just the obstacle course is the only thing where you go like, okay, what could we potentially, what would we potentially have to change? But in the end, it will be about being as fast as possible on that straight line, because you can have whatever gear which is good for jumping, but if you arrive in 7th position at that sausage to jump, you will be quite far behind those fast guys. So I think people think the difference is way bigger than it actually is. And of course, if you compare it to Super X, yeah, that's a whole different game. They had to do spokes, they had to do front loops, they had to do the big sausage. You know, it was a whole different game. And Slalom X, people confuse it with Super X a lot. And I think it's just because of the jump. You know, we don't have to do duck jabs. Yeah, if we have to do duck jabs, we would change, for example, the distance from the back of the boom until the mass base. Yeah, we would cut it a bit higher so you can duck below easier. But we don't have duck jabs, you know, so we don't have to change these things. Like people really think the difference is going to be huge, but it's not. And therefore the gear, maybe it doesn't change at all. Like I could not think. I mean, I'm not the best jumper. If you see me, I can jump way better with my slalom gear than I can with my wave gear. Way better. So what would I need to change?
Yeah, because you still got to go fast. You know what I mean? You can't be slow. We saw it in Super X anyway, and that was almost the death of Super X, with Antoine Albo just going really fast on slalom gear and being a bit wet on the spocks and the forwards, but he was so fast that he was managing to stay ahead. So
So Super X has freestyle elements, and we don't have freestyle elements. The only thing is, like I saw this question about in the waves and stuff. In the end, it's more tricky for sure, but it's just technical stuff. Like in the end, in between the waves, I still need to push and rail my board the same way as I would on the flat water. I think the only let's say challenge you have is that obviously jumping is not the best for the boards, so boards got to be strong. You know, like especially in wave slalom and stuff. Yeah, it's got to be strong, and
which is not a bad thing for the person who's buying the gear.
No, it's just going to benefit the people buying the boards. And of course, if we are doing slalom in breaking waves all over the place, like here in Japan, I mean, this is a dream, no? This is dream.
This looks epic. I was just going to say, I put this on because this is what I imagine Slalom X to be. You know? Exactly. Not what people are imagining with all these obstacles and crazy shit going on.
Yeah. Exactly. And I would love to compete in this condition. And of course, if you have a catapult in those breaking waves and the wave washes your gear, the chance that it breaks your mast on the slalom kit is bigger than it is on your wave kit. But that's a risk we are willing to take anyway. I mean, if you see how many booms, mast, and whatever are getting broken by us on the foil, it's insane. I mean, I've seen so many booms in 7 pieces or mast getting, you know, like there's so much gear getting broken. And this is something which comes with competitive windsurfing on the highest level. Like I'm sure Brasinho doesn't go like, I don't think I go to Jaws today because if I wash my gear, it will end up on the rocks and everything is broken. No, you go out, you go all in. And yes, there is a chance that you break stuff. And even when budgets are tight and things are a little bit tough, hey, this is not something that you have in mind. Like, you just go for it. And if you break, I also break some stuff every once in a while, like, and professional bikers, they break stuff. Formula One drivers spend millions on damages on the car. In the end, we are looking at the highest level of the sport, and this kind of stuff.
The only thing I would say, and I think you touched on it before when you said that's 2 elements. Like this, okay, they're doing the beach starts, so it would be 2 elements. But even so, just sailing in those conditions for me is enough. I don't think it needs another element. So it's like, that's a bit worrying that you need to have 2. I think they didn't need that. I
agree. I agree on that, and then again, I was the one who kind of wrote that sentence as a suggestion, like, okay, it needs to contain these elements. I said 1, and then it came back as 2, and then I said, like, no, it has to be 1. I don't know whether they communicated it like this or it's actually in the rules, because obviously there is a rule book, which is not the PDF file that went out to the public. It's written in the rule book too. I would have to double check.
I'm going to try and suggest something which I'm not even sure is possible, but is there a world in where you see a 2-day event on a forecast for slalom, which is not massive budget, but it's got live stream with a good drone guy, whatever, but it's on a forecast for stuff like this?
I was very close to organize something like this in Holland, actually, because it would be perfect. The thing is, because most of the guys, they are based in Europe. That makes life a little bit easier, because if, like, the Red Bull Storm Chase, you need to fly in people from all over the world, it's again no problem, but it's expensive. While if you come up with a waiting period somewhere in Europe where the guys know that something could happen, then I think it's not too big of a deal if you make like a 2-3 day announcement. Like, I think the Freestyle Pro Tour is doing this as well in some locations. I think it's smart, and the people can prepare for it.
You think like south of France, let's say the Mistral's forecasted or something. It's a pretty solid forecast, isn't it? It's not like
in Holland the same. When there's like a southwest storm coming, you usually know a couple of days up front. And especially in autumn, for sure, or in Denmark, Klitmøller is amazing for wave, but fuck, you can do some good slalom there as well. So
because like in my eyes, windsurfing's never really been a spectator's sport. It's windy for one. People want to be on the beach, but if you get the good drone guys. We've got one of them here. But, if we get the good drone guys and the right media, we can showcase something amazing. And we don't need the massive organization around it. Obviously, it depends who's putting the money in and what they want to get from it. But I think from a visual spectator's point of view, the one thing we need to guarantee is this, and this isn't crazy, but it just looks like windsurfing to me. It's like what I relate to.
Sure. I mean, it would be awesome when, I don't know the organizer from this event in Japan, but it would be awesome where if he gets triggered now by seeing like, hey, this is what we're doing here with the Japanese local riders or national riders. PWA can jump into this. They can raise exactly what I do now. I could do as a PWA and maybe grow this event. Like that's kind of what we're hoping for. No? That these kind of places come up in our calendar.
Yeah, well, actually, interesting. I've just seen this comment come through, which is kind of apt. We need big screens, and it's true. I spoke to the guy in Silt this year, and he was when he saw the footage that was going on, and he realized how many people on the beach, what was going on in the water, and how the drones were bringing it so to like this TV. It sounds like Silt next year. There's going to be TVs everywhere because he's realized that this is game changing. Before Silt has changed, it's changed organizer now, or the main guy who there's some gone on at the top, but the new guy, before it was like live stream. We don't even care. It's not the big media. It's only windsurfers. But the new guys are basically going, you know what? No, we need this because then now we can put it on the beach to all the guys that are on the beach, all the guys that are drinking wine they will see exactly what's going on, which is better than viewing outside, weirdly.
But yeah, 100% though, Ben, regarding the live stream and also, this whole idea of trying to create, I can't get the words out. Obviously at the beach, blowing 25 knots, only so many people are going to be down there. And plus, often some of these places are in areas where there's not a lot of population around anyway. So, yeah, it's all about the live stream. Well, it's all about the image that people can watch at home on their computer or TV. Like, it's just... That's where you're going to get the numbers. You're not going to get...
Don't you know, it doesn't have to be live. It doesn't.
It's not live, but I just meant like the images.
It can be recreated as live, if that's not a possibility. But I think in this day and age, it's almost easier to go live because once it's out, and it's starting busted.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, I think last year was a perfect example. Some awesome images with that slalom racing. I didn't really follow it too much in the past because you'd have a camera on the beach looking out into the sea, and it was so hard to judge who was in the front, and that sort of angle. It's just like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden, you got some good drone pilots, and it's like, oh, this is awesome. This is so good. It's way better. So that was a big game changer. There's a question here I've just been wanting to ask Jordy from Rob here. He's saying, is there a minimum wind force for the Super X?
There is. I don't know if I don't know what the standard exactly is. I don't know if it's 16 knots minimum, something like that. But I think that's what we're looking at. I mean, I think if with the 7.8, I need at least 16 knots to plan. So I think that's what we're looking at. Mm-hmm. And at the moment, it's been, I don't know, when it was slalom before, it was 7 knots. But just to put it a little bit in perspective, the wind can drop until 7 knots. I mean, I never planed on a 9 meter in a big slalom board in 7 knots. Like, you need that gust of 12, 13 knots to actually get planing. And then once you plane, the wind can drop a little bit. It's the same on the foil. I think the rule states 5 knots. I tell you, we are not racing in 5 knots. No freaking way. Like, it's above 10 knots when we race. It's just that if the wind drops, it can drop until 5 knots, and there we can stay up on the foil and we will manage and we survive. But if it drops to 4, they have to cancel. And it's going to be, I think, something similar now, obviously, but it will be, the bar will be raised. It will be like, I think, around 16 knots.
Yeah. Well, exciting. I'm excited. Like I said, I'm kind of making this podcast really just to show you guys at home, don't get your knickers in a twist. It's not Super X. It's not going to go crazy with obstacles everywhere, because I keep seeing that comment.
I was reading, I was like, people, Jesus. Like,
I think you've got to remember, I think what they do want to do is keep it simple, but they want to have the options to add extra elements and excite people. And I have to say, for me, looking from my point of view, looking in, I think it can only be a good thing. I don't want to see obstacles everywhere. I wouldn't mind a tiny sort of tripwire at the finish. I wouldn't mind that. But, most of the other elements are normal slalom elements.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
They've just changed the rules now, so the race organizer can add them in easily without getting shit from all the riders. That's basically it. Because the problem is, before, he'd go, I want to put a speed course in, and everyone would be like, I don't know. And he'd be in this horrible position where, if it didn't go right, whereas now he's got that chance to go, right, we've got to do a speed course. And everyone's like, okay, we're in. And it will be good. Most of the time it all works out fine anyway. But having that thing where he has to do something, it adds that full fleet race. Let's say the forecast isn't looking good. They need to get a result. Full fleet race. Here we go. Winner could be taking everything. A lot of pressure on one race. Lots of pressure on the start. These type of elements are going to be super interesting. So don't focus on the obstacle side of it. At some point in the future, it could get added to one race. Who knows? Maybe not. Maybe it never gets added. We don't know. It is definitely on the riskier side to the whole slalom stuff. I think there will be some trials going on, but I wouldn't count on that obstacle being in the races in the first event. Is my personal opinion, but I'd love to see it. At least near the end, where you're finishing, some guy's miles ahead, and you're like, Okay, he's won this. It's easy. There's no chance, but there is the little jump. And it's like, adds that little bit of, I've seen it happen to Robbie Swift in the Super X. Tiny jump near the finish, winning, hit it, like tried to like do a nice easy jump, didn't, and then caught it, went in, mass went down, didn't qualify, lost the whole event. And, you know, some people might say, oh, that's unfair. But that is the element of, you know, which will get extra people to think, oh, you know.
Yeah, it was also mentioned that, you know, maybe just having one differentiation, or element. But then if you only have one, doesn't it? It's you need a few more elements just to differentiate it from the standard slalom, don't you think? I mean, if the only difference between a regular slalom event and this one is a beach start, okay, the beach start's cool, but don't you want that extra element just to give that bit more differentiation? I get that, but I just say, yeah.
I'm going to answer this before Jordy does, because Jordy's going to give us a proper answer. But in my thing, looking in, it's slalom. Slalom X is slalom. We're just bringing slalom back, but there's an extra chance that we can. They can spice it up a bit, but it's not meant to be something totally different to slalom. It's meant to be slalom, just with some other options, which are now options, which were never options before, like not official options. People talked about them, but no one was ever going to do a beach start. But now it's like, we really can, and you can't really moan if we do it, you know?
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is I actually don't mind that there's a minimum 2 elements. You know, I think that's cool. Like, yeah, I mean, it was mentioned before, maybe just one's enough, but I just thought at least 2 is, you know what I mean? That's fine, isn't it? 2 is not too much.
Yeah, I think it depends a little bit on the conditions. You know, if you have 40, 45 knots and, you know, things are super tough anyway, you know, like, do we need to spice things up because we're kind of on the limit of everything anyway?
Yeah.
And, you know,
that's my thought on it. That's my thought. I think slalom itself is frigging exciting if it's windy. So it doesn't need be Super X. But it's nice to have those options of extra course changes, a beach start. The beach finish, I think, could be carnage.
Yeah, and again, maybe we don't do it. Maybe we will never do it. But it's an option. I think I saw in Lancelin, in Australia, they were doing the beach finish. I mean, it's freaking hilarious.
The beach finish, in my eyes, would have to be, you would have to get off at a certain point, because if it's anything like Lancelin, when I've done it, oh my God, it is carnage. You run up, because if you're desperate for the win, you sail up the beach. And I've seen people nearly break their neck. Your fin gets smashed. It's like, don't get me wrong, I would love it. But I'm thinking, is it really going to happen? I mean, I guess.
Amaro would jump on the beach. Amaro, he would jump and go and lands on the beach and start running from there, I'm sure. Dimensions, the crazier the better.
Good on you, Amado. I like you.
What about figure of 8 slalom?
Yeah, why not?
You do that in the gorge. You never need to go downwind. Well, I remember
in Fuerte last year, I think the organizer was like, I want to do this long distance or this long, super 2 kilometer long reach and big start, a lot of people, you know, and you were also like, yeah, let's do it. And all the guys were like, we didn't train for this.
Exactly.
You know, and I think in general, sometimes the power of the riders is maybe too much. Obviously, it's a windsurfer association, so we riders, we have the power. But sometimes I think it would be good to just, the race director is just there, like, you guys do this now, and I don't care I don't care if you train for it or not. Like, you fucking do it. It's allowed by the rules. Good luck.
And that is exactly what this, I feel, has been brought in to do. It's giving the power back to the race director with less. You know, you've been told we can do it. Train for it. Don't be surprised. You know, we're going to do stuff. So in my eyes, as the commentator watching the racing, you know, windsurfing fan, I'm looking forward to it. Like, yes, we need wind. Yes, we need venues. But for me, just the thought of it is exciting, you know. And again, it wouldn't have to add many elements. Just windy slalom on the fin is exciting. But adding a few elements could be even more game-changing.
Do you see this eventually, Jordy, becoming a part of an overall title for slalom, or do you think it'll just stay separate?
I mean, there is no overall, so
No, I'm sorry, man. Overall, I meant as like an overall slalom champion rather than this separate Slalom X thing.
We've been discussing this, and first there were a couple options, because you can do one title, which is an overall title of the foil. Let's call it foil to make it easy, for the foil and the Slalom X combined. But then this year, a lot of IQ foil Olympic dreams will get shattered. I mean, there's hundreds of people competing, and there's 25 guys going to the Olympics. So we kind of want to get competitors from there, like Benedetti, for example, is a great example from a guy who was doing IQ, let's say gave up on the Olympic dream, decided to come to us. And because the format is in a way that he can be competitive on the foil for a world title, he's interested to do this. But if guys come and they are competitive in the foil, so they can do good there, but they will never have a chance for the title because they have to do the fin as well to compete there, it's not attractive anymore for those people to come. And in the end, we have to take care of two things. One, the competitor side, like we need to have enough competitors to make this thing legit. And on the other hand, obviously the show. And I think for the show, the overall would be really good. But for the competitor side and the stream into for new people to come or for others to come back, it's better to keep it separate. So I think the one title option, for me personally, perfect. I mean, I'm doing both anyway, so might as well make an overall title, like perfect.
I think it makes sense.
For a lot of people, it's not like this. And
I think if you win the Slalom X and you win the foil, you're still going to be world champion, but you won't be overall world champion. Overall Slalom champion.
That was the last thing, is to make 3 titles: one overall, one Slalom X, and one foil.
Unofficially, that will happen.
Unofficially, yes. I mean, unofficially, you made a ranking of the Finn guys last year, no? So
yeah, exactly. It will happen. It'll be what the people want to hear. Let's say you did win the combined. Let's just say you're gonna put something on whatever social media. Let's say there was an overall. You're gonna make up something just for fun.
I'm gonna ask you to publish it so it doesn't look like I'm raising myself, and then it's all set.
Right, before you go anywhere, because I know you've probably got to go, sponsorships. What is going on with sponsorships? Because there's a few which are still in the air. I've seen, or I got sent something from a French forum about Pierre Mortefon. Now, I'm not sure, I don't think I'm going to mention the brand, but it looks like he's got his sale numbers on a new set of kit, sale and board. Is that official? Have you heard anything? Should we mention it? Has anyone else seen it? Because if you've seen it in the comments, I will read the comment out, but I might not mention it.
I've seen the picture from the forum.
Okay.
I don't know if anything is official. I mean, the fact that his name is printed within the sale number is kind of confirming stuff, but then I didn't hear anything from him, or obviously he didn't post anything yet. So yeah, I don't want to.
Well, Nike me says Phantom.
Oh, Phantom.
Maybe he's been looking at the same forum as me. I don't know. I can't confirm or deny.
I mean, would be interesting what he would do with the fin gear if he goes Phantom. Yeah. I mean, obviously he's going to be tough to beat on the foil, but yeah, it would be interesting what he's going to do on the fin stuff, because I think Phantom changed their name from Phantom International to Phantom Foiling, meaning
hang on. Yes, it's official. He's just announced it now.
Oh,
wow, that's hot off the press.
Maybe he's watching the podcast.
Yeah, is how many minutes ago? Okay, so we can announce it. Yes.
Okay. So breaking news.
Phantom.
Yes, he's going to Phantom.
Okay.
which it was announced 9 minutes ago. Yeah. Okay. So we can share the story now. Before we went online here, we were still speaking in the same setup, but not live. And I'm showing Ben the picture, and I was like, I'm not sure if we can mention it, but I have some news. But
wow, did you see that coming?
Yes and no.
I heard rumors of other things. I'll have to be honest.
Yes, I heard rumors of him joining Nordhills.
He just did 40 knots.
Damn, that's a high aspect sail, isn't it?
I mean, they've been fully focused on this foiling for years. I mean, the foiling gear with Nico has been proving itself already for a while. He's gonna be a big hotshot for the foil title. That's guaranteed, I would say. The first question that pops up in my mind is like, okay, what's he gonna do on fin? Because they don't have fin gear, and I'm pretty sure he's still motivated to win the Slalom X as well, because I think it was no doubt that in the last years he was maybe the fastest guy on the fin. So that's the only.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So Phantom don't have a fin sail anymore because they did have one.
So. They had one a couple of years ago. I mean, maybe they took that one from the garage again for Pierre. But they changed the name from Phantom International to Phantom Foiling, which obviously makes them push a little bit the focus even more towards the.
So could he go freestyle? Because we've already heard from Maciek Rakowski he might be going freestyle on the boards. Again, not confirmed.
He can just take whatever gear. I mean, if he's like, I'm gonna take the best boards, the best sails, I just buy 2 boards and 3 sails. You know, like I take the whatever sponsorship from Phantom to be, you know, on the Defi Wind. I think most events, there will be more events on foil than on fin. So I guess the main focus for him and everyone is on the foil anyway. So he's like, okay, I make sure I have very competitive gear there, and I just buy whatever or get a small deal from whatever fin gear I feel most comfortable with, and compete on that on the fin.
Yeah, wow. That's pretty big news. I mean, I'm just reading this. Welcome the new world of Phantom foiling. So excited to start my new adventure with the Phantom team. The equipment is just awesome. Straight amazing score on the foil with 40.30 knots already. He's already gone over 40 knots. There's not many people who've gone over 40, is there?
I think he's the second one.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it's been Goyard who went up to 42 knots. I don't know if William Huppert made it. He was the speed world champion, but I don't know
and we
if
should mention William Hubert, because with Mortafon coming in, as far as I know, William Hubert has gone out.
I heard rumors that he's out, yes, but he was also working for the company. Yeah? Like he was not just a team rider, he was working for the company. So I don't know if he's still, again, I don't know anything about his situation. He also didn't post anything.
Okay, I thought I read it the other day, but maybe that's not correct. But I thought I'd read he was leaving Phantom, but.
And Jordy, what's we've got you know, you've got the duotone hat on. You're the #1 duotone slalom sailor. What's can you mention
outstanding.
About, huh? Yeah, I mean, obviously there's been quite a few changes within the duotone team. Any comments about that? I mean, what's happened there? Put you on the spot.
I mean, yeah, what's there to say? I mean, I think from the no worries. I think it's pretty clear that from the 2 bigger wave guys, one had to go, and then there were 2 bigger slalom guys, and Pierre had to go. Let's say, you know, like I think I can be lucky that. Sounds rough, but I think I can be lucky that I was the one who could stay. Because Pierre obviously has been performing better than me in the last couple of years. So yeah, therefore obviously lucky and maybe a bit cheaper too.
I was going to say no disrespect from you, but they would have saved more money getting rid of Pierre because obviously probably on
On the other hand, on the other hand, like I live in Austria. I'm doing a lot of the development also from the boards, from free ride, free race, foil, slalom. I'm very, especially with the boards, very, very involved. Obviously, I do these clinics. I always do the photo shoots as well. Do more promotional events in different countries. So
to be fair,
that was a bit my luck, I guess, for the reason that I could stay, maybe. Because, I mean, if you just look at
Jordy, don't please, that's not luck. Because I'm just saying, Craig Kurtenbach, who was the Fanatic brand manager, who is now not the Fanatic brand manager, but when we did the Dream Team, I think you could have even been the first guy on his team. I can't remember the exact order, but I'm pretty sure you were before Pierre on his Dream Team.
Yeah, I mean, he was maybe a bit loyal towards his team riders too.
You still made it before Pierre.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pushing on different sides, and Pierre pushing the results more, which obviously paid off in the ranking because he's been finishing above me. But yeah, budgets had to be cut, and therefore, because of everything around, I guess I was the one to stay, and he was the one to leave.
Yeah. Okay. So while you're here,
which is still a shame. Huh?
Sorry, I want more rumors while you're here. Because, okay, so there's a few things that I like. There's questions being asked. I'm getting asked it all the time. I'm maybe not in the know, or maybe not qualified enough to know if I'm allowed to say what I know. North Sales, what's going on?
Ooh, North, what's happened?
What's going on? Because I keep hearing rumors all the time.
I really thought, I thought they were going to jump on Pierre.
Me too.
I thought they were going to jump on Pierre. But maybe they did. I mean, that they jump on him doesn't mean that they have him, right? So I don't know what happened there, whether he tried the sales, they were not yet where he thought they would be, so he decided that he did not want to risk another year of not having the best gear, because I think it's safe to say that he, in terms of foil, didn't always have the best gear available, and therefore maybe didn't have the results he was aiming for. So he maybe didn't want to have that another year. And I think with Phantom, it's quite a safe bet that they have their foil stuff on point. So instead of, let's say, taking the money, he chooses the good gear. That can be an option. That's the first thing that popped up in my mind.
Yeah.
Then obviously there were the rumors about Maciek with North Sales.
That's exactly right.
That's before Pierre kind of went out of duotone, and let's say around Japan, I heard a lot of rumors already, Maciek is going to North Sales. So I thought there was a done deal already, but then you would expect that by February they would have announced it already.
But there's no announcements yet. That's what I'm thinking. And there's no announcements about Challenger, apart from, I think Benedetti sounds like he's Challenger FMX confirmed.
Yeah, but then the PWA posted that he was signed with FMX, but actually didn't mention Challenger in there.
Very true.
But then Benedetti actually mentions Challenger.
I thought he sort of worked for Challenger or something.
No, I think just as a team rider, somehow he helped some testing. I mean, he is in Italy. He lives pretty close, I guess. So he was helping a bit with the testing. So I'm pretty sure that Benedetti is set with Challenger and FMX. So they have basically their rider, because it's a nice guy and very good sailor as well. He proved that. But then Maciek, he mentioned it in the podcast with you guys that he's out of Challenger, but he never wrote anything. It was never
nothing. Not about board
or that's why I was I don't know if he still has one hand in there, or it's a bit.
It's getting late, isn't it? It's getting late.
Yeah, it's late for sure. I mean,
I have another question.
Yeah.
Is Maciek in Tenerife? Because you're obviously in Tenerife training.
No, he was doing the IQ World Championships.
Okay. So you haven't seen him on any gear yet?
No. He's not been here. I think today he posted the story that he left the IQ World Championships. He's been competing there for sure. I think he didn't make it to the Gold Fleet and was like, you know what, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
So no clue. I have not seen him.
This comment. FMX Finian's brand, yes. Finian Maynard Racing.
X Racing, yeah.
Yeah. Finian Maynard Racing.
We called it Finian Maciek Racing for a bit, but not anymore.
Yeah.
Just touching on budget cuts, can we also just mention, because it was big news, but obviously Ricardo, this is Wave now, but Nash has parted ways with Ricardo, right? So there's another one.
I kind of feel like that's another podcast, but
yes. Okay.
No,
I just thought it was mentioned. A big subject. Anyway.
Yeah. No, you're right.
So there's a lot of changes, isn't there, Jordy? In the last few months, there's been lots of announcements.
We had more often, like, how you call it, the city seasons where there's a lot of changes. But rumors were always spread in September, and then in October we kind of knew. And then sometimes they had to wait until 1st of January to announce it, just because of contract reasons that you're not allowed to make anything public in that year still. Like, for example, if I leave Duotone by contract, I think I'm not allowed to post anything on new brands until after December. So you would kind of announce it in January. But normally I always knew. Like in November, like the inside people knew who was going to change and where they were going to go. Now it's February and we are speculating, like 2nd of February. Okay, now we know a bit with Pierre, but from Maciek or from Ricardo, we have no clue, and it's February. It's like everything shifted like 2-3 months to the back, which is a crazy situation. Definitely a crazy situation.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get this, but it's not really
interesting.
Working.
No, it's good. Thanks for explaining all that, Jordy. It's really great that we have this opportunity about chat all this sort of stuff, because for me, and I'm sure a lot of people listening who are like me, I don't know a lot of the backgrounds with slalom and all that sort of thing, because I basically use wave gear most of the time. But the more I know about it, the more excited I get about it. And when I do watch it, all of a sudden you get to understand things a lot better, and chatting with people like yourself, like, oh, there's Jordy. I remember when I was watching the slalom events in, I think it was Fuerteventura. I really enjoyed watching you, Tati, and Eric Tiema. Tiema? How do I say his surname?
Jimmy Tiema.
Yeah, because you guys were on the fin a lot, and even though it was cool because I saw the Finns as the underdog. You're there and you say, oh, the Finns are there behind. They really had to work super hard. There was something cool about it, And if the Finn won, it just seemed like just a mammoth effort. It was like, oh, it was cool. It was just cool to watch.
Yeah, but I mean, it would also have been the last year that would have happened. I was just not comfortable on my small foil. Yeah, and therefore, I didn't have the confidence to be racing on the foil on that equipment. Like, all I would have been doing now, and it's actually all I'm doing now, is to make sure I kind of have my shit together there. So if the format would have stayed the same, I would not be still pushing on the fin, because it would have made no sense.
So that's it, isn't it? We're not going to see foil and fin together anymore. That's the end of it. That's the end, isn't it?
Yeah. And it would have been the end pretty much anyway, because it's like last year, okay, to win that elimination in Posa was amazing, but the chance that was going to happen again was just getting smaller. And yeah, it would have naturally kind of died anyway, because the foil will just become faster. It will be even faster, and with the fin, we cannot develop a new fin which will suddenly overtake the foils again. No freaking way. I mean, with finished fins, I'm still developing new fins, and yes, we have a little bit more this, a little bit more that, but it's never the jump that you suddenly can fight back to the foil. No freaking way.
What about spring-loaded one for the jumps?
It should become more like Mario Kart with some fishing nets you can throw around or something to the foils. That would be the only way.
Yeah. Well, there we go. So we should, like you say, did we touch on Ricardo enough? Because we're not going to do a separate podcast. So I don't see it happening. Did you read the statement?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, were you just trying to bring it up? Were you just before?
Yeah, well, I was just trying to bring it up, but he just wouldn't go up. But I'll try it again, do it again. But it's it felt pretty like nice, but damning for Nash. Like, is that the one? I mean, when you read that, if I was a Nash, like I know the Nash people, like when you meet them, they're really like, I'm Nash because of Robbie Nash. But this statement kind of goes, Robbie Nash has sold the company and he doesn't agree with what they're doing, which if you're buying Nash for Nash, this is like a real kick in the, like it's like the bits that you were doing it for, it's like, oh, they're kind of seeping away. So he's like, and he kind of says thanks and, wish you all the well. But at the same time, he's giving him a good kicking before he leaves, isn't it? At the same time. And a lot of people saying, they've told him super late in the season, but I do know that it wasn't as late as now. He has known for a while. And not to say it was early. It wasn't like it was in September. I could be wrong, but I don't think it was that early. But it wasn't, he hasn't just heard this week, just for people who think that might be the case. I think he's, maybe known from, I could be wrong, before Christmas, I would guess. Something like that. Still late.
Yeah, I didn't see the message as being over. I saw it as pretty diplomatic. I mean, he was
it was really well written.
Yeah, maybe Ricardo 10 years
that's
ago.
What I mean. It was well written, but the undertones and the points he made,
sure.
They weren't malice, but they were truthful. But they hurt Nash big time. Like they're two big chunks to say Nash has sold, which people know, and he doesn't agree with what the new guys are doing. And then people conjure up this big corporation has bought Nash and they are now stripping, this is the image I had from reading it. I think I put myself in a Nash sort of maxi kind of love Robbie Nash. I'm buying it to support Nash, small company. Robbie Nash has built it up, and when I read that, it would have given me vibes of, oh, it's not the same company that I was buying into, which I think is pretty bad for them, And it's no secret, because we talked about on the channel when I told you Nash stopped sponsoring Windsurfing.TV, and again she told me the same story. The marketing lady, they're basically stopping all of it, resetting, reanalyzing the thing, and then so obviously he was part of that cut as well. So it's interesting to see where they go from here. Because that's a big thing. Getting rid of Ricardo Campello, he is a larger than life character online, in real life. He says what he feels. And, when you take him on, if you're going to get rid of him, it usually doesn't just drift away. It comes with all that stuff. And other brands watching that, Ricardo's been in the news for a few years, when he didn't get a sponsor for the time before Nash. And Nash was the company that came in and kind of took him out of that and put him forward. So it's an interesting one.
Actually, if you go to his stories, I think if you go to his stories, you can maybe
that's what
see
I'm gonna do.
like little plan, or like he seems like he has something in mind.
Can you see that?
Not this one. I think. Yeah. Would you buy an awesome, affordable sail with my name and a well-known sail designer?
Oh, cryptic.
Shall we put a comment? No, we can't.
Yeah. So he's going to bring his own sail line out, you reckon, Jordy?
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I think he mentions that he will not competitively compete this year. Maybe do 2 or 3 events, but not focusing on doing the whole tour. And then he says like it's not a goodbye, but see you later to competitive windsurfing. So it does look like he knows on short term he cannot get the deal that he wants from any brand. So he's focusing already towards 25 and maybe some different projects. And looking at this story, it looks like he's one of these potential projects is making maybe in signature series with whatever sail designer would like to help him with that. And see if he can, sail with that himself and maybe sell a couple of those.
It's an interesting one though, isn't it? And again, don't get me wrong, for people out there going, oh my God, he can't get a sponsor. He probably can get a sponsor, but it depends on what level you want that sponsor. And obviously this is Ricardo Campello. If he wants to do the full tour, if he wants all the gear, if he wants whatever he thinks he's worth, you know, he doesn't decide how much he's worth. The market does. But again, the market at the moment is under what you probably need to survive. So there's a real problem at the moment in windsurfing. Like the market is not where you want it to be as a rider. And it's not even probably on most cases paying enough to do the whole tour, you know, if it's a big tour, which it is at the moment. So, you know, can he get a sponsor? If you're talking about gear and stuff, yes, of course he can. But can he get one at the level that he needs to do it and what he thinks he's worth? In his eyes, definitely not. And maybe that's something will come up from this. You know, it also feels like that's like a little one to the community to say, anyone want to, you know,
jump in,
have a go.
Which you never know. He's got a big community. You look how many likes and comments and everything. He's a big character in the windsurfing scene. So who knows?
Yeah, I just want to say as well, because I feel like it's almost like a vigil at a funeral when you see a sailor depart from a brand. But I think for me, and probably a lot of people, but Ricardo Campello has just been a huge element of windsurfing for me in the last 10 to 20 years. Like it's like he is, in a way, it's been kind of like my Polacow of the 2000s or something, because he's just brought that X factor and just something to the sport that's just, you know, just like a really exciting element that can't be under what's the word I'm looking for? You know, like underappreciated or something like that. You know, I really hats off to Ricardo. Love him or hate him, because I have heard, you do hear stories over the years where sometimes I speak to people at brands and they say, oh, it can be hard. He was hard to work with back when he was young, and, you know, there's a bit this and a bit of that. But if you look at the body of work he's done and the sailing and the extreme videos you see where he's just flying off into the moon and doing huge stalled forwards and stuff, you know, it's super cool. You know, anyway, hats off to Ricardo, whatever you do, mate, because you've done a lot for windsurfing. And I will say one other story. I was lucky enough to go to Fiji for this wave event. It was the first time I met a lot of pro windsurfers, and Ricardo came with a reputation. I thought, oh, this will be interesting to see what he's actually like. And it's true. He likes to shoot from the hip a bit. He says what he thinks, you know, which I kind of appreciate. You know, I sometimes the world can be a bit censored, and like he just, whatever he thinks, it comes out of his mouth, rightly or wrongly. But I did gain a lot of respect for him when, at the end of the event, I shot all the drone work, you know, for the event, and there was a bit of confusion about the footage and the sailors and if they get it for free or not, and it wasn't really anyway, that's another story. But there was a bit of confusion, and I didn't really make much money, or if any money, from the event. I got paid to fly there. They paid for my accommodation and so forth. So at the end of the event, the sailors were coming to me and saying, "Oh, Paul, could we have the footage, because we can use it for our brand, you know, to promote things?" And I said, yeah, that's cool, but just letting you know, I didn't make any money on this, and I've just risked my drone, time, blah, blah, blah. And if you could chip in something, it'll be really appreciated, because I'm just doing this for the love of it. Well, Ricardo, you know, he actually gave me, I think he ended up giving me $300 US. You know, he came up, you know, I mean, he didn't have to. If he'd offered me $100, I would have taken and said thank you, but he gave me the money and paid for it, and I gained a lot of respect for him, because I thought, well, good on you, Ricardo. Like anyway, it's just a little story, but it was just to give you a bit of an insight that, you know, I do think the guy has a good heart under there as well, even though like I said, some of the reputation. But I thought I'd share that story because you know, credit where credit's due, you know. Yeah.
As we said in the last week's podcast when we had our chat, like, the sport needs characters, it needs emotions, and Ricardo is both of them. And I think actually Nico Preen's got quite a good point in the comments there, because he says Paul's always talking good about people in the podcast. So later on, he can sit in his dark room and get memes ready.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I have a Jekyll and Hyde personality. You know, obviously the memes are all just for a laugh. I don't know. That's just my stupid sense of humor. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to share that story because if I don't, it gets lost in the ether. And it was a personal story. I just thought it was cool.
No, I totally agree, though. Like Ricardo is a mixed bag, which is why he's a media dream for me, because he's interesting to talk to. You can talk to some riders and you know what you're going to get. You literally know exactly what you're going to get, which is still interesting because they're talking, but you know you're not going to get any controversy. You're not going to hear anything that you're not. But with Ricardo, you just like, oh, this would be interesting. You know, there's something going to be said, which I love. And I think people see that, and you can see that from when he posts on Instagram. You know, he's radical, he's an epic windsurfer, and like you say, he shoots from the hip. That's why I was smiling when you say it, because he really sometimes he just says what's in his head, which is fresh. You know, in the world we live in now, just speaking straight which I kind of have a sense of doing that sometimes, and then afterwards I think maybe that didn't really come out right, or you know, whatever. But it's refreshing, I have to say. So it's like, I will definitely, if he doesn't go on the tour this year, I'm going to be upset. So I'm hoping some sugar daddy steps in or something. And I mean, he looks like he's doing all right. He's got boats and he's driving around in new Toyota pickups and stuff. So I'm not worried for him.
No, that's right. I think he's scrounging in the gutter looking for food. But I'm just saying, it was just to sort of show that, you know, not every sailor offered it, and he did. And I thought, oh, well, good on you, you know. And Nico, that was a good one, mate. I'm waiting for you to get me back, by the way, from the meme I put early in the day. Please, I'm ready for it, mate.
The thing is, if you don't follow Paul on Instagram, you know, obviously you've been dropping some memes, trying to make the whole windsurfing community laugh, cry, scream, whatever you know. I like it because I think windsurfing does need that character now that the whatever the other one was called has gone. What was the other one?
Plow King.
Plow King took a dive, but now Paul stepped up to fill his role. But also, if you've seen the drone footage that Paul's been taking of Jaeger Stone, you know, that for windsurfing is some of the best advertising for windsurfing that can be on Instagram. I looked this morning. I was actually just looking. I thought, friggin' hell! It's like, you know, when did you put it on? Like the other day?
Well, I put 4 videos over the last week. That was filmed just over a week ago. But I mean, Jaeger, I mean, any of these elite sailors, whether it's slalom, like guys like Jordy, or in waves, people like Jaeger, it's an absolute honor and pleasure to film guys or women or whatever that are at the top of their game. It's so spectacular. And Jaeger, he's a freak. He's so, like, when I've sort of studied the videos because, you know, I've been editing on my computer, but when you break it down and look at it in slow-mo, he's so technically perfect. It's crazy. Yeah, that's just the stalled forward. Stalled forward, but it's awesome when you break it down. He's just so precise. It's awesome. It's awesome.
11,000 likes.
Yeah, this one's gone a bit sort of viral, I guess. Yeah,
I think people like this the water noise as well.
Yeah, not everyone wants music. They're a bit sick of getting blasted.
That's such a sick frame as well. Like, you see everything. You really feel it.
Yeah, that one, you know, sometimes you get a video that goes beyond the windsurfing community. You know, it somehow goes into, and this one has, you know, this one's, I mean, I guess Insta, if they see a video that's getting liked a lot, they just start pushing it a bit. And this is one of them. But no, it was cool. It's, I don't know. Jaeger's, he's such a good sailor, and
it's an epic jump. But I tell you what, without the framing, without the water sound effects, it doesn't have that same feel. Like the feel comes from the video work. You know, it's a team effort. It's not just
sure. Yeah, and I am, for anyone who's interested, I'm actually making a YouTube video with all these clips, so you could be able to see it on a bigger screen in higher definition. So that'll come out in the coming week or two. But no, I don't know. The Insta thing's funny. I remember when you first talked, Ben, on a podcast, you said, "Oh, why aren't you on social media, Paul?" And I remember saying, "Oh, like, so Instagram, I don't know, just it's not for me." And now I'm on it. I'm freaking addicted to it. It's bad. It's like you get into it, hey. It's pretty bad. But anyway, it's kind of fun. And yeah,
I think it's pretty enjoyable. I've got a lot of friends who like to follow it because, like I said, we're not all PC. You know, we like a bit of a laugh and laugh at ourselves as well. Like when I laugh at other things, don't think I don't laugh at myself as well. It's like that's just my humor. I can laugh at myself sometimes.
Yeah. And the other thing too is it's funny because I get quite a few messages. Like if you put some slightly controversial thing out, okay, a few people write comments, maybe, oh, this isn't terrible, or I'm triggered or something. But I get quite a lot of messages from people, whether they're pro sailors or not, and say, oh, keep going. You know, like I think if you get people one-on-one, people have a sense of humor, but they're also sometimes scared to project it on a public way because of various reasons. But I think we all, the windsurfing community are there's a lot of people that like to have a laugh, basically. And yeah, so I guess it's just tapping into that a little bit. Oh, look, Ricardo Campello he's here, Mr. Ricardo. I used your drone. No, I didn't actually use your drone, Ricardo. I used your batteries, didn't I? I think that's what happened, or maybe I'm mistaken. Yeah. Anyway, I didn't have quite enough batteries for Fiji, and I got some batteries from. So thank you, Ricardo.
Ricardo, and, who you're designing your new sail with? Reading the story.
Oh, rumors.
Is Niels leaving? Tell us. We're going to start some brand new rumors. No, I'm joking. But I think that wraps it up. That's an hour and 25. We're not allowed to go over an hour and a half, apparently.
Yeah, we're getting shorter and shorter, aren't we, Benny?
Well, we're trying, but we're nearly getting back to an hour and a half again. So, and apparently it's windy. I'm in Cape Town. It's windy. Oh, Neil's left from Nash ages ago. Okay, so I've got my finger on the pulse, as you can tell.
Can I also say, Jordy, it's been awesome having you here, and it's reminded me, Ben, that we need to get more people on because there's only so much I can get out of my head. What's that?
I saw some negative comments last week about complaining that you guys were talking too much trash.
And it was exactly.
We had one negative comment.
Yeah, I saw it. So I hope we got rid of that one today.
Yeah.
No, but it's insane. I'm still surprised how negative people can be sometimes. Whether you launch the Slalom X, whether you just try to make the best happen, and people don't agree or whatever. It's funny.
I think the thing is with social media now, it really does give you an easy way. It gives you an easy way to make a comment. And again, it's not even a negative. Well, I guess it can be. It's just an opinion, which is fine. Yeah. I quite like it, you know. But sometimes it's very easy to think. You get quite like, oh my God, like the podcast comment last week. Everyone's going, oh, don't even give them the. I'm like, I like to do it. I like to sort of put them on show because to me, it's like if you're tuning into a podcast with me and him, it's not the first one we've done. It's like they've been a very similar theme the whole way through.
We're like a married couple now, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. If you're expecting anything polished and trimmed, you're not going to get it. It's not what we do in the podcast. That's not the idea of this podcast. Is we can literally chuck it on every week and discuss what's happening in the windsurfing world, in our worlds as well. Like, and again, if you're not into that, we'll find another one. Good luck. There's not many.
And I can confirm that the first words being said was like, "Hey Ben, you didn't prepare anything, right?" Yes, no. No, okay, me neither. But we'll be fine.
Exactly. And if you carry on watching for 2 hours after that and then go, you didn't really prepare, you just chatted. Well, yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah. And the other thing too is we have a habit. You'll have 10 comments, 9 of them are positive, 1 are negative, and we focus on the 1 negative and forget about the 9 positive. That happens as well a lot, I find. You know, it's overwhelmingly, it's fine, but look, the other thing, all these people commenting as well, that's what makes it so cool. You know, it's the interaction with the community. It's cool. It allows us to do this on this whole, technology.
Well, that is the idea for doing it, the podcast live, is to try and get some comments, to try and feel what that community, okay, it's a small community because it's the Windsurfing.TV guys who you tuning in. And there's probably a whole heap of others who don't even know it's on or don't even care it's on or don't even give a shit. They just go windsurfing, which is also fine. We should say, like you say, the World Championships, IQ Foil going on at the moment. I just seen Bill short say Emma Wilson is absolutely smashing it. The men, last time I saw Luke van Opzeeland was winning, but I know Goya was coming on strong. There was a few others. So it doesn't seem worth almost tuning in till the end of those events anymore, though. The way that new format works, it's like I may as well just wait till the end and watch the final. That's kind of how I've been seeing it, but maybe I'm wrong. So yeah,
cool.
That's it. We're done.
We'll get Jordy on again when the season kicks off, and he can give us a rundown of what's happening with slalom.
Yeah, he's in Tenerife, so he's like his finger on the pulse of what's happening, and there's lots more to talk about in the slalom. It's like it's quite exciting. There is like this sort of soap opera thing almost going on right now with the sponsorship changes, the disqualification, the it's just a lot of stuff that is underlying, which is making it more feisty. I'm going to build it up, that's for sure. All right.
Awesome. Well done.
All right. Everybody. Until the next time. Cheers, Jordy. Good one in Tenerife. We'll see you for the next time.
Thanks, Jordy. See you, mate.
See ya.
It's that time of the week again. Sit back, relax, we got the brain of band. No need to stress in the house, it's Van Bellen. The game is windsurfing, you can't yell them or tell them. We get the news, the views, the win biz. The brand's gear, just plus the world's best quiz. Cars PWA, we're professionals without the pay. There's nothing in pole dancing that we won't chat. From tandem boards or a windsurfing cat. It's your one-stop shop for a laugh and listen. Tune in each week or you'll be doing the missing.